Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make one of these birds of a feather slouch hats. And all you'll need for this project is a 5mm hook or a size H hook, a tapestry needle to do your sewing, which I have here, and a pair of scissors. And you will be needing two different colors. This one I used variegated, which is this. And I also used a solid color of white. You can choose two solid colors, which I did for, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you saw the Fingerless Gloves I did with this pattern, but I used in just solid colors. So I decided this time to try variegated. So you just need two skeins of two different colors. One can be variegated, but I do recommend when you're making the birds that you choose a solid color. And I used these two to make this hat, and they were both full skeins at the time. So as you can see, once the hat was over, I have about half of the variegated left, and this one is almost full. I barely used any of it, really. So it's going to take less than two. I probably have enough to make two hats using these two. So we'll get the supplies that you need, and let's get started. So what you need to do to start off is to chain 70. So chain 70 loosely. Don't make it so tight. And like I said, this yarn I'm using is a bit thicker, but it's just in hopes that you can see the stitches and everything better. So just chain 70, and I will see you back here in a moment. Okay, I only chained 30, but for your hat, you need to chain 70. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm only going to chain 30 just so I can show you what you need to do next. So what you do is you lay your chain flat. Make sure you can follow it down with your thumb like this, just to make sure that the chain is not twisted. And when you get to the end, you want to put your hook into the single loop at the top, leaving you two loops on the other side. And then whenever you turn your chain like this to form your ring, your two loops will end up at the top. Now you're going to do is just slip stitch in that beginning chain. Now you have two stitches on the top of the first chain. Now for the next is you want to single crochet in the stitch to the left, or if you're left-handed, to the right of the beginning stitch. So just next to, you'll go under the top loop only, and you'll single crochet. And I'm going to hide my tail as I go. So you're going to do a single crochet, and you're going to continue using just that top loop and single crochet in each stitch around. And you began with 70, but when you single crochet into the next stitch here, you'll have 69 at the end. You should have 69 stitches at the end of this round. So just continue to single crochet all the way around, and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, I just came up to the very last stitch. This is where we slip stitched into, and this is our very first single crochet of the round. When you've got your ring done, you want to lay it flat and make sure that it's all going one direction. You don't want any twist in this ring. And what you'll do is you'll skip this single crochet, the slip stitch, and go right into the first single crochet of the round. So I'm going to skip this stitch and single crochet, going under both loops, and do a single crochet. and count your stitches. Make sure that you have 69. And I'm going to place my marker, marking the beginning of my round, my very first stitch of the round. So for round 2 of our rim, you want to single crochet into the first 7, and you single crocheted in your first single crochet of the round, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So single crochet 7, and then you want to do a single crochet decrease, and how you do that is you go into the next stitch, you pull up a loop, and then you go into the following stitch and pull up a loop. Now you have loops coming from 2 stitches, and then you yarn over and you pull through all 3 loops, and then you want to repeat that all the way around. Single crochet 7, and then do 1 single crochet decrease. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I want to do my single crochet decrease, just like that. And you want to repeat that all the way around. Single crochet 7, and then do a single crochet decrease, and you'll want to repeat that until you get back up to your marker here, your first stitch of the round. Okay, I'm back up to my first stitch of the round, and for round 3 you're going to be repeating what you did for round 2. So if you single crochet all the way up to the end and you have 7 stitches, then the next stitch do a decrease. I started with 30 stitches just for this tutorial, so I have 3 single crochets leading up to my end. So I need to single crochet 4 more before I do my single crochet decrease. So just continue on like you did last time. The last row. Single crochet 7, and then do a single crochet decrease. And when you get back to almost the end of your row, count your stitches. You need to stop decreasing once you have 58 stitches. And once you reach 58 stitches, just single crochet the rest of the round. Okay, I just finished up round 3. Make sure you have 58 stitches. Don't forget to count, it's very important. Now, if you're making this hat for a man and 58 stitches is going to be too tight around his head, you should check. And if he lives with you or you're near him, check to see if 58 stitches would be too tight, because if it is, this is the time that you can adjust it to fit the person. But the good thing about doing the rim the way we are now is because even if later on you find out that your hat is too tight, you can loosen it some. So, and if you are short on the yarn that you used, you can just do 1 row less of, you can just do 4 for the band instead of 5. So, once you get to the end of round 3, and you have your 58 stitches or whatever stitches that you have, then for the next 2 rounds, we're making the size of the band now. So you can go as thick as you want once you have the right size. So you could do 2 more rows, making it 5 rows of a rim, or do another one and add 6 or 7. But you're going to be doing a row of single crochets over the other side of the chain here, which will give you 6 rows total for the rim. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding how thick you want. It's automatically going to be 6 rows. So for this row, which is round 4, and also the next round, You're just going to be putting one single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, when you've reached the last stitch on round 5, you want to slip stitch in the beginning stitch of the round and then chain 1. And now what I like to do to give my hat a nice finish is I like to do the reverse single crochet or the crab stitch. You can call it either one. And what it is you're going to be doing like a single crochet, like you normally would. Pull up a loop, pull through both loops. The only difference is you're going to be working the opposite direction. So you're going to be going back through the stitches that you just made. And it changes your hook and the way you grab the yarn slightly, so it just takes time to get used to. What you want to do is go into the next stitch like you normally would if you were going this direction, and then grab and pull some yarn through that stitch. And now you can see you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you just yarn over and pull through those 2 loops like you would a normal single crochet. The only difference, just to get used to grabbing the yarn, it's easy enough to put your hook inside the next stitch. And then I'm holding my yarn like I usually do. Just grab it to the side and pull it through. Just pull it up like this. And then pull through 2. And you'll want to continue to do this with each stitch all the way around. And if you feel like your hat is kind of getting a kind of a warped, kind of stretched look on the end and not staying uniform with just this pretty border around it, you can prevent that from happening if you just skip a stitch every so often. If you feel like it's starting to get that stretched look, then just skip a stitch. Maybe do 5 reverse single crochets normally in each stitch, and then on the 6th one, maybe you just skip 1 stitch and then work it into the next. So maybe do that every, 5, and then the 6th one, skip a stitch, and it will reduce your rim slightly and prevent it from getting that stretched look. I just want to show you what the stitch looks like. You can see it has kind of a bumpy look going. And this will be all the way around the hat. It'll give it a nice look so that you can't actually see the stitches anymore. So continue that all the way around, and when you get to the last stitch, which would be your beginning stitch here, I'll show you how to finish the round. Okay, now I just did my last reverse single crochet here, and this was my very first, where I slip stitch into, chained 1, and then I did my first crab stitch. So you want to slip stitch in this beginning stitch. So you're just going to go into the next stitch, grab up some yarn, pull up, slip stitch, then you'll chain 1 and cut your yarn. Cut it long enough to where you can work in your tail with a tapestry needle, because you don't want to have any tails sticking out the front of the hat where it's the most noticeable, because people are wearing it on their head. So what I do is I thread my tapestry needle and I turn where the back is facing me, and I just follow down my crab stitches, 4 or 5 crab stitches, and I'll pull my yarn through. And you can pull it to tighten this area here in between, and then just slightly tug it. And then you want to cut any excess yarn that you have. Now, like I told you before, we're going to now, this is the bottom, this is our original chain. We're now going to be working in the other side of the chain. Okay, I decided for my little swatch here to show you, since I have a video where I show you how to do the brim of the hat. So once you've done your brim, and here's where I ended my last crab stitch row, you're going to flip it over and start working the other side of your chain now. And if you used your secondary color, like this, like I did on this one, I'm using my secondary color, then you want to start the first row here with your main color. But if you've already been working with your main color this whole time, just when you flip it on this side, keep with your main color. But if you started with your secondary color, you want to go ahead and switch to your main color for this one row. So since I started with my secondary color, I'm going to go ahead and, what you're doing is, this is the other side of your chain. You worked one side of it and now you have this other side. You have single loops. I'm going to be working in these single loops. I'm going to attach my main color by using a single crochet attachment. I just insert my needle in the stitch that I'm using. Then I'm just going to pull up a loop instead of pulling it through my loop to make a slip stitch. I'm just going to pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops to make my first single crochet. And then now, working in the single loops, I'm going to be putting 1 single crochet in each of those stitches. As you can see, I'm just working with the single chain. And you had an original chain of 70 to make an adult hat, so stick with that. When you get to the end, you should still have 70 stitches. Okay, I got back up to my beginning again. And again, I want to stress that if you've done your main color, this whole rim, there's no need to switch for this row. You just flip it over and start again with the same color. This is only if you did a secondary color for your rim. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch in the beginning stitch, and then I'm going to be grabbing my secondary color now. There's no need to cut your yarn. You're just going to be switching from one to the next. So what I do is I fold my yarn in half like this, and then I just grab it with my hook and pull it through my loop. And then all you have to do to secure it is just to pull the string of your other color to tighten it. Now you have a tight loop here. Now we're going to be doing double crochet, so I'm going to chain 1. You can chain 2 if you like. It doesn't really matter. But I think I'm just going to chain 1. And go right back into the same stitch that you just slip stitched into, which can be hard to see. There we go. Now when you get to the end of your row, you can see how they're all so uniform. But when you got to the end of your row, which I'll show you just here, you can slightly tell, see how the birds kind of look like they have a broken wing. But it's okay, it's not so noticeable to the untrained eye. So keep going. What you do for this first set is chain 2. So you have a double crochet and then chain 2. Now you want to skip 2 stitches. So you have 1, 2. And in this third stitch, you want to put a double crochet. And then you want to chain 2. You want to skip 2 stitches again. 1, 2, and in the third stitch, put a double crochet. You'll be repeating this all the way around. Double crochet, skip 2 stitches, chain 2, and then double crochet. And then you'll chain 2 after every double crochet, and you'll skip 2 stitches before making your next double crochet. So I made my double crochet. So now I want to chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and then double crochet. And you want to continue this all the way around till you get back up to the beginning again.